So my name is John Farrell, and I am a principal at Fish & Richardson, and I try patent trials. Been doing that for about 10 years. Now before that, I was a homicide DA in San Francisco, so I've done both criminal and civil. And in both situations, what I have come to realize is how important exhibits are. Because despite my own belief system that I'm incredibly trustworthy, jurors and judges serving as triers of fact like to see hard evidence. They like to see real paper, real things, real stuff. And we need to know how to handle and use that effectively in the courtroom. Now, exhibits are important because, number one, they are real evidence. Number two, they go back to the jury. I don't go back, but they go back to the jury room, or the judge keeps them, and she keeps looking at them. So that's why they're also important. They're important at the time, though, because a smooth handling of exhibits demonstrates a confidence and a calmness and control in the courtroom. So we need to do all of that at one time. Handle them effectively, use them smoothly, and get them into evidence. Now, my belief system in the importance of exhibits started when I was in homicide because I realized a whole bunch of things had to come all in order for me to even have this exhibit in my hand. Someone had to call the police. The police had to go out there. They had to get out of their car. They had to look around. They had to find something. Then they had to pick it up. Then they had to put it into evidence. Then it had not to be sold at auction before the trial. And then the inspector had to come to court early enough to get it out of the basement and bring it to court for me to use. So these are magical things. It's the same when we look through millions of pages of documents, we find that one hot document or the 10 exhibits we're going to use at trial. These things matter. So let's figure out a way how we can effectively do that. Now, there are 8 steps to my system, 8, okay? And we're going to go through each one of them. They are mention, then there's describe, then there's mark, then there's show, give, identify, move, and use. Those are the 8 steps. So let's start talking about them in order. So let's talk about the first one, which is mention. If there's one thing I ask you to take away, this is maybe the most important step. What do I mean by mention? The witness needs to mention the exhibit before you ever touch it, look at it, or show the juror or the trier of fact that you've got it. It needs to come out in the story first. Exhibits should be used to verify and repeat testimony, not replace it. So let me give you an example of a standard way that people do it, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just think we can be more effective. And we'll start with just a physical object. And the reason I say start with a physical object is that we'll get to paper quickly, because I know most of us deal in paper. But it's easier to see the system with physical things, and then we'll replace it with paper. Okay? So a standard way of doing this is the police officer's in the stand, and the lawyer says, "Did you go to the scene?" "Yes." "Did you look for anything?" "Yes, I did." "Your Honor, I'm going to mark as exhibit number 1 this duct tape." Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But notice that the police officer never said that he had found duct tape. He never mentioned it in the story first. Watch the difference if we have the officer first mention it. So, officer, did you go to the scene? "Yeah." "What was the first thing you did?" "Well, I got out of my car and looked around." "Did you find anything?" "Yes, I did." "What, sir, did you find?" "I found some duct tape." Now when you hold up a roll of duct tape, you know what everyone's thinking? That's the duct tape. Now, that's the mention part. We'll come back to that with paper. I suggest, though, you want to get a lot of information out about the exhibit before you even mark it. But that's the minimum, the mention. Have the witness say it first before you touch it. So here's a rule to follow. You as the lawyer can say anything in court as long as a witness says it first. You can say anything as long as a witness says it first. "Officer, what did you find?" "I found some duct tape." "Describe that duct tape." "Well, it was a roll of black duct tape." Your Honor, at this time I will have marked as Exhibit 1 this roll of black duct tape. I will mark it using the exact words the witness just said. I'm 90% of the way home free now already because I have verified his testimony. Because he mentioned it and described it before I ever showed it to anybody. Interrupt the flow then. "Well, hang on a second. Let me find it." Let him find it. That's great. The judge will say, "Okay, we have no problem here." Good. Continue. That's the show part. Now, by the way, one thing about this, this is a tip. I can't really do it because we can't move too much here. But lawyers in trial, I'm amazed, have this ability to walk like this. They actually walk backwards like, I don't know, a crab or something, and they can stop. It creeps people out, by the way. So here's a tip as a professional you should try only at home. From now on in court, you only walk in the direction to which your head is pointed. All right? So if you're going to walk over to the other side, you actually turn your head and walk that way. You don't do this sideways thing. It's just weird to people. All right, now. So now I've shown it to the other side. The reason I say I show is I don't really give it to them because they don't get to keep it. They just get to look at it or have a copy. Where's the original, the one that's going to evidence? It's with the witness. Let's suppose we're in old state court where I have to give it to him. Because in state court, by the way, unlike federal court, for those of you who don't go to state court, you actually get to walk up and give the witness stuff. I know in federal court there are 11 humans between you and, God forbid, that witness. But in state court...